Michigan destroyed 6 seed Tennessee 95-62. I mean, wow. Are we sure this was really an Elite 8 regional final? This was the second largest blowout in Elite 8 history since the tournament expanded to 64 teams in 1985. The largest was 1989 Michigan, 102-65 over Virginia. And it didn't start off hot for Michigan. They were down 16-14 with 11:22 left in the first half. It looked like it was going to be a close game. And then they went on a 21-0 run, and they did not look back from that point on. They led 48-26 at the half. So what went right for Michigan in this game? I mean, the obvious answer is everything. Clearly, everything had to be firing on all cylinders to win by 33 in the Elite Eight. But what specifically went really well for the Wolverines? First and foremost, the defense was suffocating. Tennessee only shot 32% from the field. They are normally 46.1%. That's their season average. And they only shot 19% from three. They're a team that normally succeeds pretty well at three. With Gillespie and Ament, they normally shoot 33.4%. Only shot 19% in this game. Michigan had 8 blocks, and they were absolutely punishing at the rim. And what we've seen all tournament, most of those blocks have come from Adai Mara. In this situation, Mara only had 2. Roddy Gale had 2. Yaxel Lendenberg had 2. And there were a couple other guys that had 1. So it was a very good team defensive performance. Jacoby Gillespie, we talked about him in the preview video. He had to have a great game. He did have 21 points, but he only shot 8 of 22 from the field and 4 of 13 from 3. Nate Ament was the other one who had to have his shining moment. He only had 7 points. He went 2 of 12 from the field, and he went 0 for 3 from the three-point line. He fouled out as well later in that game. And speaking of fouls, Michigan really got Tennessee into foul trouble early. Their big he was in trouble. He had to step out early in the first half, and obviously you see Ament, he struggled with fouls throughout the game, and that was a big piece of this one. Michigan was forcing Tennessee to play sound defense, and they weren't. They were fouling quite a bit. So what else went right? Secondly, for Michigan, they shot the lights out again. They have been shooting the lights out all tournament. They shot 52% from the field in this one, 37% from behind the line, from behind the three-point line, that is. They haven't shot under 50% all tournament. They have a 56% average field goal percentage in this tournament, and they have been averaging 45% from the three-point line. They were only 37% on the season. So three-point shooting has absolutely burst onto the scene for Michigan. And the biggest contributor to that has been Yaxel Lendenberg. He has shot 49% from three in the Big Ten tournament and in this March Madness tournament. He only shot 34% in the regular season. So that has been a new development for this Michigan offense. I've talked about it a lot. In the absence of L.J. Kaysen, Michigan needed someone to step up and shoot three. Yaxel Lendenberg has been that guy. And finally, it's ball movement. That has been something Michigan's had all year, and it's been really evident in this tournament. 19 assists on 29 made shots. That's a really good ratio. 10 of those assists came from Elliot Cadeau. He's averaged 8.3 assists per game in this tournament, and he had this issue on April Fool's Day with some allergic reaction. I think he's with the team now. That is a good sign. He will play. We'll see if that has any effect on his play, but it shouldn't. Michigan was swinging the ball effectively all night from corner to corner, and they were sharing the wealth. A lot of players scored double digits yet again. That's something we see on this team so often. So now we've got all the positives. So what could be improved? This is a little bit cherry-picked, I will say, but you're going to have to cherry-pick when your next game is against 36-2 Arizona. This Arizona team, Arizona and Michigan are probably the top 2 teams in college basketball. I think a lot of people would agree with that. So you're going to have to cherry-pick how you play against a team like them. Offensive rebounding is going to have to be a little better. Michigan hasn't really made their money on offensive rebounds all year. Tennessee has. Tennessee is first in college basketball in offensive rebounds, and they out-offensive rebounded Michigan 19-8. So that is going to have to be better for Michigan because Arizona, they average 11.6 offensive rebounds per game, which is 10th in college basketball. So they will see a style of play very similar to Tennessee as it pertains to the boards. And they're going to have to limit second chance opportunities. That will be paramount in the game against Arizona. So eliminating offensive rebounds will be key. And then there's free throws. Michigan has shot a not perfect, but exactly 70% in the tournament. They're 70 of 100 in this tournament. It really should be over 80. I know that's super nitpicked, but you think about those 10 extra shots. Those are really important points. Free points really matter in a game against an Arizona or in a game against a UConn or an Illinois. Free points and cashing in on those will be huge. Absolutely huge. And then turnovers and points off of those turnovers. That's the last thing. And I think that's the biggest one. Tennessee had 21 points off of turnovers. Arizona against Arkansas and Purdue is averaging 14.5 points per game off turnovers. Arkansas is who they played in the Sweet 16. They played Purdue in the Elite Eight. Michigan is going to have to limit their turnovers significantly. They average around 10 a game, maybe 10 to 12 a game. You're probably going to want to be 8 or less if you're playing Arizona because they absolutely cash in on points off of turnovers and in fast break. So those are the negatives. They were tough to find, and it's really tough to find negatives when you're beating teams by 23 points a game on what is literally the biggest stage in college basketball. But they are there, and Arizona's the team on the clock, so you have to be careful. Everything has to be running on all cylinders. That game will be 8:49 on Saturday, April 4th, and I will have a more broken down preview for this game later this week. That's all I have for today, and as always, go Blue.